Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is out in cinemas now. I know I'm a week late to this, so I apologize. But this is Marvel's best film in a good while now. It has that dark tone that worked well in a few Marvel films, but this one's a lot darker. However, it still maintains that comedic routes. And the story here works really well after an encounter with a superhero. Well, not really superhero. One of Marvel's characters. Can't remember him because I don't really read the comics. The Rocket ends up getting injured, and the team has 48 hours to save him. And if they try and if they try and mess with the trigger that's inside him, it'll blow him up. So they go to all these different places, and we find out about Rocket's origins and how he was made, and the Lord High See, I can't remember the villain name. Alright, but I know this guy was pretty well written. The guy was actually a decent villain. He's charismatic when he needs to be. And he's probably the best villain in the series in terms of having a relation to the character. I know Ego is a good enough villain as well, but when you know the twist is coming, and you know it's going to go that direction, you failed as a twist villain. Because Ego himself is kind of obvious from the start, and how he tries to divide up the team, if you will. But this one's all about their resolution as a team. How will they finish? What note do they go out on? And to that, it succeeds quite well. Now, from a direction standpoint, the film is fairly solid for a Marvel movie. It knows what it wants to be. The writing's pretty good for this film as well. A lot of good character moments, and the film has this kind of dark but not too dark tone, as I was mentioning. The editing, I didn't find a huge problem with it. The only real negative I can point out about this film is its runtime. I think everyone does their job to a passable degree. The runtime doesn't need to be that long, though. I think, the film's runtime doesn't need to be that long. Or at least they could have done one or two more scenes to justify that runtime. Because you really only need to be in there for like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Or the film to be around that time. And that includes all the post-credit sequence. I know they probably messed up superhero in here. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of him. But I don't really read Marvel's comics, if that makes sense. So I'll try and break down the best parts of the movie quickly for you here. The best parts of the movie is Star-Lord, Drax, funnily enough, and Rocket, and Groot. Them four work really well together, off one another with the banter. And the thing is, the second movie kind of turned into nothing but banter between back and forward. Yes, there was still a villain. Yes, there were still obstacles. But it was more like an SNL sketch rather than a Guardians film. The first Guardians of the Galaxy movie I actually think is one of the MCU's best films, probably in like my top 3. Now, the villain is pretty bad in there, but he has good moments. I like the villain from a entertainment point of view. However, that's the only negative of that film. The second film I'm not too fond of. As you might guess, it's 2 hours of banter between these heroes. Baby Groot stole the show in that film, but then you got films like Infinity War and Endgame, and you kind of think, well, I kind of thought to myself, Marvel could do so much better. So to this day, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is still in my top 3 Marvel films. But besides that, yeah, this film's editing and pacing work really well. It's a fast-paced enough film and has a good enough story to justify some of the choices, but not the full runtime. That, if that makes sense. So I'd recommend you go see in cinemas. This is one to see on IMAX, by the way. Don't wait for it to stream, because even though the villain, I'd say the villain here is the strongest out of all of them. So that probably put it up to probably like a 9 out of 10. It's a great film that has great cast, great characters. Highly recommend seeing this. At least compared to the other stuff Marvel's put out. Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which were enjoyable enough films, but they didn't quite have the appeal as the ones that came before. But besides that, go spend your money on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and we need to tell Marvel that we want better movies. So I think if we go out and support Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we'll be able to show Marvel that we want films that are made decently and let people take freedoms. However, I would recommend that you go in knowing that it has dark themes, and it's the first time the MCU will ever use the F word. And it's not even used in like a serious context, it's a joke. And it's quite a funny joke. Besides that, I think that's all I can say about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It is a bit riskier, a bit more kind of heavier in terms of themes and substance. But overall, like, there's no reason to not go see this film. Everyone does a great job of playing their role specifically. And you can feel James Gunn's having a lot of fun, and that this is goodbye to Marvel. So yeah, go see it. That's all I have for today. I'll probably come back with films like Beau Was Afraid or Fast 10, but they don't come out for like another week. Maybe even 2 weeks, so I'll have to see what's the earliest I can see them, and then as soon as I see them, I'll get my review up. So that's my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and see you in a different video.